My name is Leon, and you're gonna watch me go from $0 to $10,000 a month on Amazon KDP. Today we review the Urban Writers. My books are finished, and so our contents for today is I want to show you how the books turned out. I'll show you my KDP backend. I'll also show you how the Urban Writers handles customer complaints because something did happen that was quite unfortunate. And then finally, I'll go over some important lessons I think that aspiring publishers should learn, as well as some Urban Writer updates. So let's get started. Here is what my first book looks like. It's called Making Money on YouTube. And so how long was the book? How long did it take? The book is 7,000 words. It took about 3 weeks to write, including 2 days to edit. The whole experience was totally smooth with this writer. I could tell that the writer was very experienced. She was just pumping out the writing. It was concise. It was good quality. What I was surprised with was, I actually didn't know this, but after the writer writes, there's an opportunity to bring on an editor that goes through the whole manuscript, edits it, formats it, and gets it ready for ebook publishing. So at the end, what was the book quality like, right? It's a book for beginners, so it's definitely not as specific as some of the YouTube channels like Nick Nimmin or Think Media. And that's because there was a focus on tactics, not strategy. So to me, strategy is something like having a content plan where you're creating evergreen content and having cornerstone content. Tactics would be something like have a good thumbnail, create an engaging video, make sure the title is SEO optimized. So a lot of basic knowledge was written in the book, which is fine because it was for beginners. So how is the book doing on Amazon, right? That's the big question. For the first 30 days, quite well, right? It got 20 downloads or so on some days, and on January 15th, it got 40 downloads. And so after 30 days, it went down to about 5 to 10 downloads. So right now, it still gets about 5 to 10 downloads every day. But overall, I am pretty satisfied. My second book also got finished. And this is a book about passive income ideas. It's also a free book. How long did it take to write this book, right? The book was 9,400 words. The book as it stands right now took about 3.5 weeks to write, including 5 days to edit. But technically, it took 2.5 months. So you can see that the start date was January 20th and it finished on February 21st. So you might be wondering, hey, Leon, it only took a month. That wasn't the case, right? You'll notice that I actually initiated the order just one day after my first book on December 3rd, and it wasn't finished until February 21st. So it technically took almost 3 months to finish the book. All right, so what happened? When freelancers were signing up to write my book, I ended up picking someone that said they had a lot of passion for business, that making money in their sleep is like a tagline that they leave on their table. And so I kind of had an idea that the writer didn't really know much about business and different business models, but that she just wanted to learn as she wrote the book. But I kind of trusted that that writer would actually do due diligence and actually learn as she wrote the book. And so my writer wrote each chapter and filled it up with anecdotes. Lots of stories about how different entrepreneurs had succeeded in the past in using different business models, but it didn't teach the reader anything about the actual business model. I ended up leaving endless amounts of comments. I would spend 3 hours, 4 hours just commenting on every line that the writer wrote, saying, all right, this is vague. All right, you're using a statistic without using a reference. All right, the reader doesn't need to know this because it doesn't teach them anything, right? This whole paragraph is useless. And so we had a back and forth for about a week. She tried fixing it. It didn't really improve. After like 2 weeks, she kind of went MIA for 4 days. I was busy. I have a full-time job. And so after 4 days, I was like, hey, what's up? Like, where'd you go? And she came back and she commented and she was like, hey, I'm sick. Sorry, I need another few days off. I was kind of like, all right, okay, right, I'll give you the benefit of the doubt. And so another 4-day goes by. And so by now it's been like a week, right? And she comes back and she's like, "Hey, by the way, you could switch another writer if you want to." And thankfully the urban writers are very professional, right? They here's the message that they sent me. They say, "All right, hope you're well. We can reset the order and keep the original content. If they meet your new requirements, it's smooth sailing from there. The new writer can read everything from the old writer and have that inform their new writing." And then they took initiative in the same day. They assigned a new writer. She's able to start right away. They can see the outline, and you can approve or disapprove of anything in the old writing. And that's something I have to do, because if I approve any writing from the old writer still gets some of the money. A week later, I get another message saying, "I hope you're having a lovely day. I'm reaching out with an update on your order, right? Due to unforeseen circumstances." My second writer essentially ghosted me, right? And so how did the book turn out? I was really impressed, to be honest, right? Like, I wasn't expecting much. But my third writer was actually very, very, very smart. So the book was well written, it had creative business models, it was well researched, it was fully referenced, and it was concise. So how did this book do on Amazon? It did fantastic. On the third day, it already got 46 downloads. And so there are a few important lessons that I learned along the way, right? And the first lesson has to do with book quality. And this lesson means that you actually want to read the work of your writer and check that the writer knows what they are writing about, right? It's super invaluable if the writer has experience in doing the topic that they're writing about. And what does that mean? It means that you actually need to know about the topic that they are writing about. Otherwise, how are you going to know whether or not they're doing a good job? And this is pretty easy to do. If you go online, go on YouTube, and you just watch like 5 hours of videos on the topic, you'll have a pretty good idea whether or not your writer knows what they're talking about. Because essentially, you're doing the research that they should be doing as well, right? But you're also learning, so it's a win-win. Also, your outline actually has a huge influence on the writing's quality and efficiency, right? So you really don't want your writer to be guessing what you want. You really want the writer to write exactly on the topic that you want them to write on. Last thing is always do a plagiarism check, right? Even though the urban writers, they say they do a plagiarism check, it's always good to do your own plagiarism check. And it's actually super easy to do. You can either use Grammarly Premium, or you can just Google the section titles or parts of the writing, especially if it feels like it's from a blog post. Important lesson number 2 is in freelancer management. You can't fix a poor writer. Like, you can't take a writer's submission, take 5 hours to edit it until you think it's perfect, and then send it back to the writer and be like, "This is what I want." You can't expect that writer to all of a sudden be able to deliver on what you want. And so if I get writing that is kind of subpar, I edit it once, but only a part of it, and I say, "Hey, if we want to continue this working relationship, I want you to be able to edit it like how I edited it. And if you edit your half and I'm happy with your editing, then we can move on. But if not, sorry, let's cut this early." And so the third lesson is that working with urban writers actually gave me an overall understanding of the book creation process, right? From picking a freelancer and hiring a freelancer, to editing the freelancer's work, to bringing on an editor, to looking at the editor's work, to finally seeing a fully formatted book with a table of contents and a copyright page, a title page, sections, probably all formatted for Kindle publishing. And it's important because that's going to become your benchmark if you ever decide to hire on Upwork, which can be cheaper, but there's a higher variability in the level of writers on that platform. And so the big Urban Writer update, right? Urban Writers is getting a huge update. And basically the update is you're able to get a writer and then pay. And so with that also comes a new ordering process, which I'll quickly demonstrate right now, right? So you first go and you select your package, right? You can create an order, select your package. I'll usually go do the individual package versus the bundle because frankly, a book description is something you can kind of just outsource cheaply on a Fiverr gig or something, or you can write it yourself. It's like 400 words. Same thing with the cover. You can Canva it, right? Or you can just outsource it. But anyways, you can pick an individual package. I go with book writing, and then I choose nonfiction or fiction, depends on your book. I usually go with the top package. Quality does end up helping you out in the long run. Because quality is what actually makes a book stay on Amazon for a long time. Even if you're not that good at marketing. If you've got a good book and people buy it, Amazon's happy, you're happy. And so it's worth paying for quality. You enter everything in, right? Title, subtitle, author name, author bio. You include an outline here. And so with a 30,000 word count, it comes out to $927. Obviously, this is going to be more expensive in the future as they raise their prices. But that's essentially it, right? So you have an order here, and then this is kind of the page where you can also select your writer and invite writers, and you'll get a lot of requests from people that want to write your book. And so from here, you select a writer, and then you begin the whole writing process. I'm in general satisfied with the urban writers. I would recommend them to a beginning self-publisher or even a seasoned self-publisher, as long as you can find a good writer on the platform. All right, so that's it for this video. Thank you for listening. And if you are interested in more self-publishing videos, please do leave a like, comment, and subscribe. Leave a question on below and I'll make a video answering that question. Thank you for watching.